So in this class we talked extensively on different aspects of aging, but the one that we talked about a lot was ageism. So for this course we did the Fabbroni Scale of Ageism questionnaire, which is a test that shows you how ageist you are on a spectrum between 27 and 135. And 135 is the largest that you can be on the ageist scale, so the most ageist. So we took it ourselves and then administered it to 2 older people and 2 younger people. So for my results, I received a 55 on my pre-questionnaire and 35 on my post. And I wasn't surprised that it was lower, I just was surprised at how low it got, like 37. So when I was taking the pre-questionnaire, I was thinking solely about my grandma with dementia before she passed away last spring. So that really showed in my score. And then I was thinking of Kay, my post, which Kay is a very active elderly woman who showed me about older adults, like they're not what they perceive to be. And there are people just like me as a younger person, so my age group included. So yes, some of them can meet the stereotype of the questions asked in the questionnaire, but we can't hold them, can't hold everyone to that same standard. So for the given questions, I gave one to my mom, to my friend Emily, to my friend's grandmother, and then Kay. And so for the results, it was as expected. The 2 older adults got the largest, which was 52 and 57, and the older adults got the lowest, which is 46 and 38. So I then interviewed Emily and Kay to get their take on ageism. It's going to be a lot of quotes, but they're really good. When I interviewed Emily, she was very surprised at her score, and she said, "I think my answers are mostly true, but true doesn't mean it's popular or good," was what she said. The matter of all of it, pretty much. It was just like, it's not, it's true, but it's not good, which of course, is not always true. She said also that some questions were maybe leading, but she realizes that people actually think these things. She brought up teenage suicide is the more tragic than suicide among the old question. And she said you would think that nobody would think that, but there's bound to be someone out there who might actually think that. She also, on the topic of her friend group, I mean, since it's the same as her community and her friend group, because of course, since it's a university campus, all of her friends are the same age. So she said, even though I love spending time in nursing homes and helping people, even my excitement for that can be ageist when I say, oh, all these old people are so adorable. So she has those feelings just like some people have those feelings about, oh, old people are so cute. So she realizes that that's not very good, and it insinuates that she would talk like a child to them. She also said that since her friend group is the same age as her, she doesn't really have, she doesn't discuss it with them very much, because the only time that we see the elderly is in our professors. And even then we don't really see them as elderly, we see them as our professors. So she then goes on to comment her feelings about that. She said she recognizes that she is talking to another person when she talks to an elderly person, and not focus on their age, but she focuses on their experiences, and they have much more life experiences than she does, of course. With her community, since she lives on a college campus, like I said, it's pretty much the same. And she has professors that are older than 65 years old, so she kind of sees the older population and they are teaching her. So sometimes she does get that's a very interesting, potentially outdated thought, but she understands as well that they have a lot to teach her. So she finally goes over great points about the United States and how we treat our older people. And she says, first of all, we always say we are so focused on the value of life for people, but we tend to pick and choose what categories those people fall into. So then she goes into how we should be more willing to see that these people are the same amount of, we should be more willing to see it from their point of view and not degrade them and put them to the side. She said we're more willing to just take grandma and grandpa off to a nursing home and only visit them on Christmas, which is so sad, but it's so true for our society. And then she goes on to address this issue, how she would address it, and she said she has a very idealistic view. She's a religious studies major, so she's going to be a little bit religious on this topic, of course, but she said we care so much about money and power and greed and all those other things that we put in front of being morally correct. So she said we don't focus on morals, so if we would spend more time on loving those around us and caring for those around us, and more than just getting and spending money, then it would be fantastic, of course. And we never spend nearly as much time on our search for love. And that was very eye-opening for me. She explains that how we care for others and the morals behind it is something that the United States needs to focus on. So when I interviewed Kay, it was pretty much the same interview because they have very similar views, of course. So when Kay, I told her score, she said she was very surprised, but she also thinks that anytime you stay involved with the younger generation, you're gonna have a more understanding that you can't just talk about anything with them, you know what I mean? Like, she explains that people her age talk about their ailments and retirement, and that's something that we don't want to talk about, of course, because we're not there yet. I'm not. So it's like, what can you do to reach out to them without talking about those things that they are not even experiencing yet? So she was just talking about how you just have to keep your mind active as well. She's a Weinberger student right now, getting her master's degree as a 7-year-old woman. She's fantastic, and she said that she gets a lot of comments like, "Oh, why are you so late in the game?" kind of thing, and it doesn't let it bother her, of course. So she thought that the questions were fair. She then said that if your whole world was your house and you interacted with a small group of people, all you talk about is the past. All you talk about is the things that were behind you because nothing's going on now. So that's what her view on why some elderly people only talk about the past. So then she answered the question, do you think that ageism is an issue in her community? She said not really in a university town. She's very well appreciated. She's the snack lady at Weinberger, so she's really well appreciated and respected here. But she did tell me a certain story about when she was a teacher, when she was, I'm pretty sure she was 58 when she was a teacher, and they treated her very disrespectfully, and they kept telling, well, behind her back they would say stuff like, why aren't you retired, why are you still working? And that really depressed her, and it was a very depressing story to hear, of course, because I would never want that to happen to anyone ever. So when answering the final question, what is your opinion on how they feel about the United States and how can we change that, she said, I think as a nation we do not respect older people. They are a throwaway group of society. And in this society we kind of do. We throw them into a nursing home and then we just let them stay there until they're gone. And she then talked about the Asian and Hispanic countries, just like Emily did, and how they respect them. And we're such a mobile society, that's what she says. And we just need to educate the younger, the young with more experience. Because young people don't experience their grandparents anymore because, like I said, we're a mobile society, so we move away from them, and then when they get too old, we put them in a nursing home until they're gone, or we go and visit them for Christmas, and we leave when we don't do it again, just like Emily said. So, just educating them. She then talked about her granddaughter and how she went to a Sunday school class, and she thought it was going to be so stale because it was an intergenerational one. where she was the youngest, and then there was more older people there. And she was very interested and pleasantly surprised that they had so many things that they wanted to talk to with her. And I really liked that because I think that's something that we need to do more. She also brought up the nursing homes and preschools, which we talked about that in class, where there's an add-on with nursing homes and either preschools or daycares. And I really like that idea, and I would love that to happen more. So I think the only thing that surprised me throughout this project was that I moved from the ageism scale to like less ageist, which was fantastic. I am so happy that that happened. And I learned so much about how older adults are, and I've learned that most of the stereotypes we put on the elderly are completely wrong and are not normal in their population. They're not at all. And everything went as planned, of course, for this project. And I think Finley's community should have a class on in elementary school for the importance of family. And I think we could tie in gerontology topics like the aging process. And I think we also should have preschools and daycares, like Kay was saying, either that or daycares, preschools or daycares in nursing homes. And we have heard that from Kay's point of view, and then with Emily's point of view, I love that she said stuff about love and compassion for others, and we should definitely be more compassionate and loving to the older generation and to others in general. We need to keep teaching our children and even young adults that love and compassion is important, and we should not be replacing that with greed or selfishness. In the interview process, Emily and Kay had extremely similar views, as you can tell, and when it comes to aging, it was fantastic to see that parallel. They said almost the same thing when explaining how our nation is ageist and had similar ideas when talking about how to fix it. I think that the interviews went fantastic, and the main lesson I learned was that so many people know that the way that the nation sees the elderly is wrong, but what is being done to fix it? Like, we need to fix it. We need to at least get to the point where we can fix it. The main takeaway I had from this project is, in general, that the aging population are just like me and my peers, and the only difference is that they are wiser and have been through so much more than us, and we should be listening to them and asking them for their wisdom and asking them questions about their life so that we can learn and have friends that are older than us. That's me and Kay have such a special relationship. So main idea is life is so much more complex than just labeling the relationship between younger and older generation as a lost cause. We should not label it as a lost cause. It can be changed. So, thank you.